Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so good to be with all of you today. We're broadcasting live on Rumble. We are live on Twitter, live on Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. We're live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. You name it, the Shannon Joy Show is there, reaching upwards over 1 million eyes and ears every single month. Could not do it without all of you. We are independent, outside the left-right political paradigm, just the truth every day about politics and culture from outside of that two-party paradigm. You guys look great on the live chat today. Slim Jones, so glad to see you. Rothan Walker is with us. CM1968, Chronozone 777, the most intelligent, helpful, amazing, kind, and generous live chat in all of Rumble. So thankful for all of you every single day. We have had to call an audible today on the Shannon Joy Show. As you know, you can see from the title today, we have another situation here of potential hospital kidnap. It is baby Kit. Just a couple days ago, our friend Nurse Angela, I don't know if you remember Nurse Angela Marie, just about a year ago, Vaccine Safety Research Foundation, Steve Kirsch and Angela helped to save the amazing Lexi Lorenz. You remember the young woman who was vaccinated against her will, had a horrifying reaction, and was almost killed in a California hospital. It took an extreme effort from Nurse Angela Marie, Steve Kirsch, the Vaccine Safety Research Foundation, Children's Health Defense, and of course, died suddenly to save Lexi. And so just the other day, she is an angel. Nurse Angela reached out to me with an urgent text message. I ended up talking to her, and we are now looking at a horrifying situation. A hospital in Hawaii injected a 2-pound premature baby with the Hep B vaccine without the mother's consent. They injured him severely and then called CPS on the family. It's even worse than that. In a hospital, rescue may be necessary. This is urgent. We are going to interview mom and dad live today on the Shannon Joy Show in just a few moments. But here's the long and short. Today, we are going to speak with the family, Sam and Topher, the mom and dad of baby Kit, a 7-month-old medically fragile infant who is in danger of hospital kidnap and potentially homicide, as the hospital continues to bully and coerce the parents into consenting to up to 9 additional vaccines, which would likely kill him. He needs to be rescued. And Nurse Angela at the Vaccine Safety Research Foundation, she has been flown in to Hawaii to facilitate a transfer and to protect this baby. This is what she wrote to me just a day or two ago. She said, I'm going through the medical records, and it's devastating what these hospitals do. He was born at 29 weeks, weighing 2.7 pounds. They asked mom immediately after her surgery, completely drugged, by the way, if they could give hepatitis B, and she declined based on the fact that she doesn't have hepatitis. And she had an older son that was damaged by the vaccines. They not only gave her child the hepatitis B at 2.7 pounds, which is unbelievable, all right, without her consent, they also gave the HBIG immediately after birth. Now, we know per the CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics, it is contraindicated in a baby weighing less than 4.4 pounds. I can't imagine what their priority was to vaccinate a baby when he is fighting for his life prematurely. He is now 7 months old and in rough shape. And this week, they have tried 3 times to bring in forms trying to coerce the parents on additional vaccines. This has resulted in the parents desperate to save their son and bring him to the United States of America so that he can get the specialized care he needs, to go to social media with an Instagram page pleading for the life of their son and bringing in Nurse Angela to help facilitate this. It's a very delicate situation right now because baby Kit is still in this hospital. Mom and dad have been separated from their other children. They have a large, beautiful family for 7 months as they have felt threatened by multiple agencies that CPS, Child Protective Services, would come and seize their other children. It's a horrifying situation. And hopefully we can make a difference here today in the Shannon Joy Show. So rather than the show we were planning to do, we are going to interview in this first hour Topher and Sam, dad and mom of baby Kit, and do everything we can to raise money for this family. You will see in the show notes, the GoFundMe page is up, and we are raising as much as we possibly can to help facilitate not only the transfer from Hawaii to the mainland, but also the specialized care that Kit is going to need as he continues to recuperate from this horrifying situation. And I have just touched on the surface of this story. You guys will not believe what this family and this baby have gone through over the past 7 months. Now, we do have another interview. I did tell you at the top of the hour, we have a big announcement on the Shannon Joy Show today, and we have a super special secret guest that you know who will be joining us at 1 p.m. Eastern Time to make a big announcement about a new collaboration right here on the Shannon Joy Network. So stay tuned for that. We've been talking about this major announcement for the past couple of days. I am so excited to start this collaboration. So you guys are going to be thrilled. We're going to do that right around 1 p.m. And before we get to the interview with the family of baby Kit, I do want to thank our sponsors here at the Shannon Joy Show. Of course, the satellite phone store, sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. We know that being prepared for anything, whether it's a natural disaster, a government-created disaster, a lockdown, a blackout, a brownout, a tidal wave, the alien invasion, it doesn't matter. You will have peace of mind and also the ability to stand up and do what is right for your family when you are fully prepared. And the satellite phone store has everything that this audience needs for full preparedness, whether it's a bug out bag, a Faraday collection of hats, beanies, blankets to protect your devices from a potential EMP attack or protect you from EMF. They also have a full line of solar panels, generators, and of course, satellite phones and bivy sticks, what you need to stay in connection with your family when the lights go out, when the towers go down. The satellite phone store has been an unbelievable partner of the Shannon Joy Show for many years. Without them, we could not grow in the way that we have. And as you know, we're independent. So if you need something in terms of preparedness, please go to sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. 10% off all the time for the Joy audience when you use that promo code JOY. And when you go to my site, they always have new specials for the Shannon Joy audience. Help support this show by patronizing the advertisers and the sponsors. Thank you to the satellite phone store. Also, Colonial Metals Group, you'll hear from today. Of course, PCM and Associates and our friends over at Perfect Origins. We're going to hear about Perfect Sleep Max as well. Okay, without further ado, let's bring in Annie. Thank you so much for producing today. Mom and dad, Topher and Sam, who have been fighting the battle of their lives for their baby 7-month-old Kit. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Thank you for getting up so early and being with us today.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have Topher dad, Sam mom. Let's just start with your story. You have a big family, a healthy family. You're a natural family, right? You try to raise your kids in as natural a way as possible. You have done home births before. You were pregnant with baby Kit and had a situation where there was a little lack of movement right around the end of the pregnancy, and that's what thrust you in to the medical system, the hospital system in the state of Hawaii. Why don't we start there with just the story, the overview of how we came to this place, and then we'll get to the abuses that you and your precious child have suffered over the past 7 months. Which one of you would like to go first? I don't want to step on anyone. Sam, let's start with you. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a really healthy pregnancy. We kept everything really peaceful. We wanted everything to be insulated and really quiet. He fed me like clockwork, the same meals every day. The baby was as healthy and active as, he could squeeze my tummy twice and the baby would kick back twice. And every evening when we would just sit down for the day, he would kick his feet out. He would put one foot out and I would rub it. And then after a while, he would push the other one out for me to rub it. He still does that. We would go on walks through the jungle. Everybody was so excited for him. It was really peaceful.
Yeah, it was like this picturesque big island of Hawaii pregnancy where we just wanted to have a quiet life, and we lived off grid, and
it was quiet. And one day, I think he had been up all night, pretty sure, because when I would lay down at night, the baby would try to, quite literally, it felt like he was always trying to get out of my belly and get to him. The moment I would lay down, he would just start kicking all night long. And the next morning when I woke up, I just didn't feel him moving as much. And I was concerned about it because he had a pretty good rhythm with, it was like every day after I ate breakfast, he would start having this hour of movement. And so it was just outside that norm. And after a couple of hours of not really being able to get him to make any large movements like we were used to,
we went on a drive. We lived on a dirt road. So
we tried to go on a bumpy road. We were just
right.
Yeah, and we just felt like, what, let's just, it's just one of those things. We had our concerns. We had reservations about going to the hospital, but we just felt like we need to just go check on him. We just want to make sure. And when we got to the hospital, they immediately found a heartbeat. It was like immediate.
Yeah.
And it was a strong, stable heartbeat. She put the monitor on and it was going. And it was funny because he still wasn't like moving around a lot. And I think he was just, I really do think he had stayed up all night long, and he was right around that time in gestation where their patterns do start to change. And they sent in an ultrasound tech, and the ultrasound tech pretty much admittedly right out the gate said, I don't really know what this test is for, he's like, wow, this is like a long ultrasound, and I don't really know, I guess I need to like follow this checklist of things, but I don't really know what she's looking for. And
so it was a biophysical profile, but he didn't know how to operate that.
And so he wouldn't let me move. They wouldn't let me have ice. They wouldn't let me have juice. I was not allowed to try to, move the baby or us speak to each other. It was really strange.
We had to stay quiet for almost 2 hours while they did this ultrasound. And we found out the fact that that's actually the adverse of how you would do a biophysical profile.
You're supposed to get the baby to move. You're supposed to offer juice, fluids, movement,
loud
sounds, anything basically to get the baby to move in its normal pattern so that you can actually get a baseline for where the baby's at. But I was put onto my side and not allowed to move, eat, drink, talk, anything for this entire time. It got to the point where the ultrasound tech even said, maybe I should go talk to them about having either a redo or somebody else do it. But I'll go talk to her. And he went out in the hallway, and throughout this whole thing, the doctor had never come in. She never came in to check on me, the baby, nothing. This is the OB. At this point, I had still not met the OB.
Her belly was never touched by any doctor or medical professional.
They even asked me if I was pregnant. I had
After
a
finding
Oh my word. Just to clarify very quickly so the audience knows the course of events. This is Hilo Hospital Benioff. So this family has now been through 3 hospitals. They started at Hilo Hospital Benioff for the emergency visit or the checkup just to make sure baby was okay. They were then transferred to Kapilani Medical Center for Women and Children on the Big Island. That's where many of the abuses occurred, and they are now in a third hospital, and that has been better for them. And so it is now at the point where we are trying to just move them, to the mainland in California. But there are multiple hospitals here. But we today, or at least right now, we're talking about Hilo Hospital, Benioff. So the medical doctor did not even examine you.
He never examined me. They had essentially like a hospitalist in training who was notably confused about everything. Any question we would ask him, he was like, "Yeah, I don't." He was
a hospitalist. What is a hospitalist?
So essentially, it's
just a doctor that is
under the main doctor,
employed by hospital. They have different standards. Basically, they're just a hospital employee. They carry a doctoring license, but they don't really meet the same standards as like a main practitioner. So they just follow the orders of whatever the hospital says. So when a hospitalist gives an order at a hospital, it's very hard to follow up with them to get accountability because they're like the hospitalist. So like, I'm not going to sign off on that. Just as an example, that oxygen, I subscribe to that patient. I'm not going to then sign off for that later because I don't follow that patient. I'm just a hospitalist. So
wow.
There's things to kind of wiggle through.
Yeah.
But after this biophysical profile, the tech walks out, and immediately this doctor that we have not met, she comes in wearing a mask, and she looks at us, and her eyes are wide, and she says, "I want to cut your baby out in 20 minutes."
Those were her exact words. "I want to cut your baby out in 20 minutes.
And the nurse looked at her, a veteran nurse, and she said, "We can't do it in 20 minutes. And the doctor said, "I don't care. I want him out in 20.
And I had asked, because I had delivered my previous child there, can I speak to the OB? I knew he was on. I had already asked one of the nurses if he was there, and she confirmed that he was in the hospital. And I asked, can I talk to him? Can you please send him in? They said no. And I pushed. I said, "Can I please? No, you need to call him. He knows exactly who I am. He would be fine talking to me. Like, I want to speak to him. I want to get a second opinion." And again, they refused me. At which point we asked them, do we have the opportunity to call anybody for a second opinion? No. Do we have the opportunity? Can we go home? No. Can we call our midwife? No.
And then also, don't you need to give him steroids? If we're going to deliver him right now, don't we need to get steroids in for his lungs? And they said, no, there's no time.
What?
And I asked again, I said, I want to get the steroids for his lungs. If you guys you're saying I have no other opportunities, no other options, I want to get the steroids for his lungs, and again, I asked for that OB. I want him to come in here. I want to talk to him. The baby's heartbeat is fine and stable. There's no reason why you guys can't let me have these steroids in the least bit. And again, the doctor said, "You don't have that option. It is what it is," was what they told us.
And I literally, I turned to the hospitalist doctor who was he told us he was a father of 5 children. And I looked at him, I said, "Are you telling me it just is what it is?"
That was the medical recommendation. It is what it is.
He said, "It is what it is."
Yeah. So they cut your baby out against your will. I mean, there was certain coercive fact. I mean, I would imagine you could have picked up and hustled her out, or
if we had tried that, because we've known other people that have gone to the same hospital that
tried to refuse,
and they got a court order within an hour and strapped the woman to the table and delivered her baby and then took her baby. And so we had to make the split decision of, okay, we are now, because on the Hawaii Islands, the only NICU is on Oahu. And so we were on Big Island. So we knew in that moment, if they're C-sectioning our baby at 29 weeks, our life is over and we have to pick up and go to Oahu. Our baby is going to be taken to a different, and we were separated from him for the first 5 days of his life while he was transported. But before he even got transported, right after the C-section.
So the C-section was a nightmare. They didn't even numb me entirely. They didn't even wait until he was in the room.
Yeah.
Was poking around saying, "Can you feel this? Can you feel this?" And I was saying, "Yes, I can feel that. I can feel that." And at which point, and he was walking into the room, she was like, it doesn't matter, I don't have time. And she just slashed into me. It was not a gentle cut. It was not a slow incision.
Stop.
It was, she
Was
just slashed
slash.
into me, and I still have damage to my abdomen. It's like not, it's not going to heal without like surgical reconstruction. And
And they
I
pulled him
felt it.
out, and she was shaking off the table. She literally could feel the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they pulled him out, and he was screaming.
He was screaming. Sound like a baby who had been in distress. He
Yeah.
didn't sound like he had been struggling for oxygen, for air,
He was
for
a
anything.
healthy baby. He was a healthy baby.
He was a healthy baby. His APGAR scores were, I think, immediately it was a 7, and then within like 2 minutes it was a 9. It was like the highest scores you can get. And I think our internet is.
That's okay. You're clear now. You're good. You're clear.
Yeah, you know, he was screaming. His arms were, he was swinging at them so hard that they couldn't even quite hold him down to give him an IV. It was strange too. They didn't put the IV into his umbilical cord. They instead decided to draw blood from his arm and blow a vein,
Yeah,
where
they
he had
blew
a
his
huge purple
veins.
arm right out the gut. And then they didn't.
2 pounds. 2 pounds.
2 pounds. They left him in the nursery laying without his nasal cannulas in. We have multiple pictures where he was laying there. It was so important to deliver him in this manner, but
They couldn't even
keep
get
his
his
oxygen.
cannulas into his nose. And immediately after the surgery, they wheeled Sam into the recovery room, and 2 nurses follow us in after the bed gets locked, and they bring a form and say, "We need you to consent to these vaccines."
And I had been, because I could feel everything, the anesthesiologist had bolused me with fentanyl. I don't even know how many times. It was a wild amount of
The
times.
entire C-section, the anesthesiologist was standing
just
over her head
injecting me
and
with
telling her her ancestors are with her, and
Woo!
just putting fentanyl
She was just like, "Can I
in.
pray for you?" and just like praying over me and trying to comfort me. You know, she asked me like, "Am I allowed to pray for you? You know, are you comfortable?" And I was just like, anything. And she was the only person that was a kind and grounding presence in the room. But she had been bolusing me the entire time, because at one point I looked over and I could see that she was crying because of the way that I was shaking off of the table and the amount of boluses she had to give me. She kept telling me, "I'm just going to give you another bolus," because I kept telling her, "I can feel everything. Like, why is this happening?" And
Oh,
So
Sam.
by
Oh,
the time
Sam.
so drugged, and
And
they come in with a
disoriented.
pink form, and they say, "We need you to sign for these vaccines." And then we're like, "Okay, what are they?" They're like, "Okay, vitamin K and Hep B."
And I said, first and foremost, I don't have any reason to give my child that. I've never been positive for that. I've literally had the most minimal amount of partners in the last 15 years, and
And we said we're not going to do it, and we're not going to do that one. And then the nurses stopped and looked at each other.
like, oh. And I said to her again, I don't have the capacity to make an informed decision about this. I've never
You were
had a
high
baby.
on fentanyl. You were literally pumped full of fentanyl and meds. You
But
had
I
just
told her,
been ripped apart by a hostile surgeon. Your baby ripped out of your womb. And the
Yes.
first thing that they do is serve you with pink papers to get your consent to shoot this 2-pound baby up with vaccines.
And they didn't let her touch her baby. They took him straight out of the room and yelled no when she asked if she could see him.
When she was walking out with him, I said, "Can I see him?" This woman was just carrying my baby naked in the middle of the air, no care or concern for him. I said, "Can I see him?" And she yelled at me. She looked at me and yelled no. And when they brought me this form, I said, I'm on drugs. I am not able to make an informed decision. I am in distress. I am on drugs. I have never had a baby this size. I need time to read about them, call a pediatrician, make an informed decision. This isn't something that I know anything about. And it doesn't seem like from my general understanding of things that it's necessary. He's not going to be, there's no reason for him to be given a Hep B shot. I know that I don't have it. And I had delivered my previous baby there, and they knew that I didn't have Hep B. And they also knew that it was medically contraindicated to give that vaccine at that weight. And that was an option later when I looked at the vaccine form. So when we're checking out, they come into the room. and they hand me his vaccine, little, the little vaccine record. And I said, I did not consent to this.
They gave him 2 Hep B vaccines.
He gave him not one, but 2. And when
where is it recommended that a baby, any newborn baby, let alone a 2-pound premature traumatic birth, get 2 Hep B vaccines?
No.
Anywhere, nowhere.
No. And I mean, when I asked them, I said, who, I didn't consent to this. Who was the nurse that did it? And they said, oh, I don't know. I have no way of getting her name. And I said, that's untrue. You know who gave the vaccines. She has to check them out from the med cabinet. And they basically were like, yeah, out of my hands. And when I looked at the form, there's a whole list of reasons why. There's a whole list of reasons and options to not give it. It says, medically contraindicated, which it was. Baby not stable, which he was. Parents declined, which it was. Like, there was multiple opportunities for them to just wait and give the time, for us to make an informed decision, for a doctor to, because when we got to the NICU, they said the same thing, like, oh, like, even when they wanted to give the second dose, the doctors, at rounds were like, he's not big enough. By the time he got to the point where he was the age for the second, set of dosage, he wasn't big enough. And so they weren't willing to give a second dose, but it was okay to give it to him at 2 pounds.
Unbelievable. We're talking to Sam and Topher, mom and dad of baby Kit, now 7 months old. This happened about 7 months old. He has had health issues ever since the horrifying experience of his birth. Mom and dad have been fighting for this miraculous, strong baby. I cannot believe what your little man has gone through and how he has survived. He's still struggling at 7 months. And because the harrowing situation has continued, this was the first hospital. They've now been to 3 hospitals. It gets worse, if you can believe it. It gets worse for baby Kit. This is why they are trying to rescue him now from Hawaii hospitals, bring him to the mainland where he can get specialized treatment. Kind treatment. I mean, I can't believe what you guys have gone through. We're going to go to break in just a moment, and then we'll come back for the second half of the story and how Kit is doing today and what you guys can do to help this family and help save this baby. This is urgent. Okay, this is something that needs to happen ASAP. I get the sense that there was great hostility from the moment you came in. And I don't want to make any assumptions, but as someone who has been engaged, I've probably done about a half a dozen or more hospital rescues over the past 5 years, where we have had to use media and exposure and our organization and fundraising to save people who are in severely hostile situations in hospitals for a variety of reasons and are fearful of their life to the point where they need to be rescued. I wish that this weren't the case, but this has happened. I don't want to make assumptions, but one of the things that I have noticed over the past couple of years is that there is an immediate hostility to people who are natural, people who would prefer natural, holistic, outside of the medical industrial complex, lifestyles and treatments, people who avoid regular medical interventions in hospitals, people who have declined vaccines, for example. You can't ignore the immediate hostility when you guys entered that hospital. This is Hilo Hospital Benioff, where they butchered you. I mean, it was a butcher shop. Your story is utterly horrifying. But did you pick up on? Do you have any idea why it was in? And it looks like Topher, maybe you do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Her chart immediately. So the way that Hilo wrote her chart right at the very top of the chart, and it has stayed this way till this day, is no prenatal care.
Because I wanted to see a midwife, because my previous pregnancy was also with a midwife. They knew that I had midwifery pregnancies, and they knew that I had wanted to see a midwife. And the interesting thing about that is that on the Big Island, there's a 4 to 6 month waiting list to get in with any of these OBGYNs. And so at the point in pregnancy that I hadn't even had the opportunity to get in to see an OBGYN because of the waiting list.
But we had been multiple midwives and we knew everything about the pregnancy. We knew how far along, the fundal height, everything that you could know for gestation, we knew. And that scarlet letter of no prenatal care has damaged Kit. It has damaged us. It has created an entire skew. When we first arrived to the NICU, a doctor came in and closed the door and cornered Sam in the room and accused her and said, well, we see here on your record that, you know, you had fentanyl in your system. And we see on your record that you had morphine in your system. But was there anything else?
And we were like,
anything else?
Wait a second.
Because no prenatal care, at least in Hawaii, immediately predicates drug user avoiding the doctor so that they can continue using drugs while pregnant.
Even
just,
though they had
just so everyone knows that, like, that was the second hospital. That was Kapiolani Medical Center for Women and Children. At Hilo Hospital, the doctors pumped this poor woman full of fentanyl and morphine. That was why it was in her system.
And she did a drug test when she arrived. She peed in a cup. And so that was a clean drug test before they performed the surgeries. But then the next hospital said, well, you had all these things in your system. We don't know.
It was for him. When they tested him, he had that from the C-section, and there was nothing else. They can see in meconium as far back, if anybody has even had THC in their system, you know, from when the baby was the beginning of gestation, and they knew there was nothing in there. But they were trying to coerce or we were like looking at each other like, no, there's nothing else. Like, those were given to me for my C-section.
What you say can and will be used against you.
Yeah. And eventually,
unbelievable.
You drug tested me and there's nothing else. Then all of a sudden they dropped that and just went to the next hostility.
So they're always going through a checklist of how can we entrap and ensnare this baby and make him ours. And so there's so much this story. I mean, we're only on day 3 and Kit's been in there for almost 8 months.
8 months. All right. We're going to go to a very quick break. Annie, let's just do one commercial. I want to give these guys as much time as humanly possible because we have about 15 to 18 minutes left. We'll go a little bit longer because I want you guys to get the entire story out. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to do with a story like this because it appears that the policy of the hospital would prefer a dead baby than a live baby. And we'll go through every type of hoop and every type of medical intervention to ensure a dead baby. And I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what the audience should glean from that. But in these situations, and I've heard these stories over and over and over, where people have the feeling that they're worth more dead than alive in some of these hospital situations. We need a national discussion about this. I've heard these stories one too many times. We need congressional hearings. We need people to address this because this is happening in hospitals across the country. And I have a feeling they might have been targeting you guys even more viciously because of your intelligence, because you know how to read charts, you know the hospital system, you know how to advocate for your baby and for yourself. And I just die inside when I think about the young moms and dads who go into this system and they do not have the wherewithal that you guys have. They do not have the knowledge and the understanding, and they are just torn apart. And they don't even know what happens. And that, I mean, who knows how many times that happens across. I mean, if it could happen to you guys, it's just devastating. Devastating. All right, we're going to go to a quick break. The GoFundMe is linked. Annie, if you wouldn't mind, please pop up that GoFundMe in the live chat right now. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or any of our other outlets, Substack, please link that, pop up that GoFundMe chat. Let's try to raise as much as we humanly possibly can to get these guys out of Hawaii immediately. I mean, this is outrageous. Kit needs help and this family needs help. So we're going to go to a very quick break. We'll be back in a moment to continue their story. It gets worse. when we come back here in the Shannon Joy Show. Huge thank you to our friends over at Colonial Metals Group. Again, when I say it's super easy, super, super easy. The staff is amazing. In fact, I just did my allocation with my representative over at Colonial Metals Group over the weekend. We allocated, I have a gold and silver backed IRA through Colonial Metals Group. And I learned so much. There are so many different ways for you to back your investments with physical gold and silver. But I mean, literally, like when you have the gold backed IRA, you pick whether you want the bars or the coins. Like there are a lot of different mixes. You can do 70-30 gold to silver, 100% gold, 100% silver, 50-50. The mix is, based on whatever you feel comfortable with. And then literally that order, like that physical gold and silver is sent, Colonial Metals Group procures it, and it is sent to a depository. My depository is in Delaware, and it sits there. It is not paper gold. It is not paper silver. This is the real deal. And it gives you the benefits of the IRA and the tax benefits that you can receive from an IRA without having to be connected to or linked to Wall Street or the stock market or even the federal government, right? Because a lot of people's pensions and IRAs and 401ks are invested in some of these institutions that many people rightly see are crumbling. This pulls you out. You're going analog completely. And I trust the folks over at Colonial Metals Group. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy is the URL. Please tell them that Shannon Joy sent you, because that's how they know that you came from this show, and they're just great. So thank you to Colonial. Again, always learning so much. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. And I just want to give a shout out to the folks over at Perfect Sleep Max. Go to perfectorigins.com/perfectsleep/SJS for an exclusive money back guarantee. If you need good sleep, if you want good sleep, if you're desperate for good sleep, Perfect Sleep might be for you. If you're battling stress or restless nights, check out Perfect Sleep Max. Each dose includes L-theanine, GABA, magnesium, 5-HTP, and melatonin, all in one to calm the mind, relax the muscles, and support your natural sleep cycle. Plus, there is a 180-day money-back guarantee and auto ship savings if you tap on the link right now. Say hello to real rest with this amazing product. It is Perfect Sleep Max. Go to perfectorigins.com/perfectsleep/SJS. And I would be I can't imagine how many sleepless nights Sam and Topher have had over the past 7 months fighting for their baby Kit, who, as you know from the first segment, was born in a truly traumatic C-section, 2-pound baby. He was injected with the Hep B vaccine without the mother's consent when she was drugged up on fentanyl and morphine. It injured him, and then the story just gets worse from there. This was at Hilo Hospital, Benioff, where the horrifying, horrific C-section occurred. We're joined by Topher and Sam, moms of baby Kit today, who are 7 months in, almost 8 months in, trying to save their baby, move him to the mainland here in the United States of America. Thank you so much for fighting for your son. They've been separated from their other children. They have a large, beautiful family, for fears of CPS stepping in and seizing their other children. Their children are safe, but they have now been separated for 7 months. Truly horrifying experience. You are transferred. You're separated from baby Kit for 7 days after the horrifying butcher job of a C-section that you didn't need, that was forced on you by the staff at Hilo Hospital, Benioff. Remember that name. They then moved the baby to Kapilani Medical Center for Women and Children. They seized your baby, transferred him. You were away from him for 7 days. Through that transfer, you followed him to that facility, and you have now been essentially on on 24-hour a day, 7-day watch, as you guys do night shift, morning shift, to make sure that he is getting the treatment that he needed. He was there, brought in at around 3 pounds. He is now, has been there for 7 months. He has survived, but they have not only continued to neglect him, but they have ramped up some of the abuses. What happened after he was moved, and where does your story go then?
So we arrived to the NICU, and it was kind of like the standard NICU experience. You know, he's this tiny baby. Every day they're just focusing on his oxygenation getting better. The day that they took him in, they intubated, extubated, and reintubated within 24 hours, and then extubated again 3 days later, and then had him on different nasal cannula situations with ventilation. So by the time we were there for the first 2 weeks and holding him and getting him, you know, resettled, when we arrived, he was shaking profusely because he was traumatized.
Yeah.
And tiny little baby. And it basically goes into, on day 17, he was only requiring 26% oxygen. Everybody was telling us, oh, he's right on track to be going home in about 4 to 6 weeks. We can't give you a date, but like, he's doing awesome.
Room air is 21%. He was at 26% oxygen. Nasal cannulas, his breath rate was in the 30s, which is perfect. He was having really mild tachypnea. Like, he was doing good. You know, he was having these intermittent tachypnic episodes, which I think was from that vaccine that they had initially given him.
Yep.
Explain this. But
so Sam was holding him, and our nurse for the day came in, which it was automatically, every nurse we had to do the dance, is like what we would call it, is like navigate them socially while they're trying to ask us prying questions about our personal life, which then they're annotating. But this one nurse wanted to put him back. Sam was holding him, and it was time for shift change. And so she's like, I just want to put him back, you know, before shift change happens. And we were like, okay, well, do you want to call the RT? Because it was a 3-person job to move Kit from, you know, from parent back into his isolate.
That was protocol.
That was protocol. Like, no, it's fine. I've got it. I'm just going to grab him. And
it was hostile.
Yeah.
I said, I had this feeling in my gut, and I said, I would rather wait for at least an RT to come in, because it's normally been 3 people. We need at least one other person. And
like, no, I've got it.
Yeah, I was like, no, I've got it. Like, I don't want you to be holding him through shift change.
And so she takes his tubing from his ventilator and lays it on her arm. And then she takes our 3-pound baby and puts him on top of that tubing, his own tubing, and then goes to move him and steps on his PICC line. And he lunges forward. All of the ventilator condensation,
which the RT normally dumps out before they move him. They unhook the ventilator, dump all the water.
Tons of condensation in the lines. It all goes into his nasal cannulas, and it shoots into his lung.
We're watching him drown.
And our baby is drowning, aspirating. Sam shoots him forward.
I grabbed him,
grabbed the cannulas, pulled them out, and water just dumped out of his nose.
All over me. It was like my top was covered. It was so much water.
And then afterwards, he was like gasping and disoriented, this tiny little guy. And she puts him back in the bed, and he starts hiccuping immediately. And the nurse goes, see, Mom and Dad, he's in distress from being held. You need to not touch him so much. And so Sam is literally shook, and we had to leave the room because we didn't know what to do. We're new to the NICU. We're like, what just happened to our baby? We walk out.
I asked her before we left, I said, you need to chart that. We need to watch that, to let the doctor know that happened. It wasn't a mild event. We watched him like drowning in front of us. It was very clear that he aspirated by you could just tell he was aspirating. And so we put him back. She says, we need to not touch him. You know, he's distressed from you holding him.
So we leave for an hour. We come back to an arts and crafts on the table while we were gone, she felt so guilty about this situation that she painted his feet yellow and made a picture with his footprints that said, you are my sunshine. And then it said, a gift to Mom and Dad from the nurses at Kapiolani. When she had just told us, he's in distress, you can't touch him.
What
so you could
on
feel
earth?
on.
And we asked the next nurse, "Hey, was it charted that he had a rain out?" They call it rain out to make
Yeah.
it sound. And
She's like, "No, I don't know
no,
what you're talking
there's
about."
nothing charted. And
And
so
he was
Sam,
already tanking. His oxygen it was like it rose to 50, then it rose to 70%. His
and,
eyes were red.
and he had been on 26% cruising, doing really well. And then now 5 hours later, he's at 70%. And then
Wow.
eventually 2 days later, he presented with pneumatocyls, which is his lungs overinflated like balloons.
From the water that was in his lungs combined with the pressure from the ventilator, where if she had charted it or let a doctor know like she was supposed
They could have
to
intubated and
and
suctioned it
suction the
out.
water out. But the water stayed in there. And when we finally, it took me 4 days to get somebody to chart it. And by this point, our baby has so declined that they're looking at us like, oh, he might die.
And the doctors
And
come in for rounds and they're like, "We don't understand what could be going on with this baby.
Unbelievable.
And we
Unbelievable.
please listen to us. He was rained out. He has water in his lungs." And so one hospitalist doctor sticks her neck out finally and says, "I think we should order an x-ray." They order an x-ray and then they see that there's tons of fluid in his lungs. They
tons.
come in, she's like, "So there's fluid on his lungs, but I don't think he aspirated. I think it's from the blood transfusion that we gave him."
And we were just like,
Okay. All right.
that's
And
weird.
this was just so he was drowned almost at 17 days old. You mentioned him being intentionally slammed onto his bed by a nurse, resulting in a fractured clavicle, being illegally separated from him when he was having a seizure, obviously being separated from your other children. Uh, can we talk, because we do need to kind of move your story along just a bit, about first of all the threats of CPS, calling CPS, Child Protective Services, and then the coercive, and this is kind of leading you to wanting to get the hell out of Dodge right now, because they are ramping up now. You're in your third hospital, and are ramping up this attempt to vaccinate him. He is 7 months old now, fighting for his life, injured multiple times by these hospital systems. And now they want to inject him with up to 9 additional vaccines. And they keep serving you papers. They keep, with the coercive measures. And again, the threats that you are perceiving that they might come in and intervene and take your other children and separate you from him as well. But can you tell us about kind of where you are today and that pressure, what is happening now, and then we'll get into how we can help you.
Yeah. So essentially, what happened after that was about a week later, his lungs fully collapsed. They told us, say goodbye to your baby. He's not going to make it. We came in. It was a nightmare. They had to reintubate him. They had to turn the ventilator up so high that this baby was shaking up and down off the table. During that course of events, a nurse came in after he had been intubated for about 4 days, was so aggressive that multiple people had to move him, and she flipped him over and slammed him down on the isolette while I was begging her not to. We forward through all of this, and he's still intubated, and they want to do an ROPI exam, which is where the first threats of child welfare services started. And come to find out, any other medical provider I've spoken to has said they would never do this exam on an intubated baby who is being, basically, you're telling us, that he's going to die. Why is an RI exam, on the docket? And so they did the first one right before his lungs collapsed. And I begged them, he's not medically stable. Like, prioritize his stability. I understand the importance of these exams. I'm not discounting that, but you're telling me that my baby might die, and so we need to prioritize him not dying. And told me if I didn't do the exam that they would call child welfare services on me. Did the exam, sure enough, lungs collapsed. They tell me within 72 hours after the exam he's going to die. Then he gets through this whole period. He's still intubated. They want to do another one of these exams, which again severely set him back, injured his eye. Again, they told me if you decline it, we'll call child welfare services. We by some way of miracles get through all of this.
He's so strong.
Yeah.
Then recovering, and then Essentially 3 different occasions he's ready to come off of a ventilator entirely, and his
Yeah.
doctor sets him back by putting him on CPAP of 12, which anybody who knows the CPAP, a pressure of 12 is so
Way too
high,
high.
you can't breathe over it. And so it would set him back. So on the third time of this happening, of being put on CPAP 12, he gets set back into reintubation. They keep him intubated for 2 months. He's ready, he's extubation ready, and they prolong it. He gets 3 infections. We knew he had an infection. We asked them, please run a panel, please run a panel. They would not.
He has
And
a seizure in front of us. We asked for a doctor, and instead of the doctor coming to the room, we get kicked out of the NICU. They call child services on us, basically try to take legal custody of our child by way of social media involvement. We get back in. The nurses the attorney from the hospital calls our attorney and says that in order to get back in with our child, we have to delete our social media. It was
A gag order? A gag order? The hospital tries to, the only way that you're saving, at this point, you guys are desperate. So you're going to social media. They're like, you're thinking to yourselves, they're trying to kill my baby. There's no other thing that we can do. And then they try to put a gag order on you.
And they create a narrative at this point in time. So while he's been intubated, the doctors had been talking about a tracheostomy. And we were just like, if it's what he needs to get home, we'll do what he needs, right? So we were in agreement if it's what he needed. We had a surgeon come in on 5 different occasions and say he's not a candidate for a tracheostomy. It is in our medical records. We had multiple doctor's notes from us saying that if it's what he needs, the parents are in agreement. And we had 5 different surgical notes saying that he's not a candidate for it.
They want to see better vent settings. He needs to get bigger. All these different
things. So while we're kicked out, they call child services and they tell them that we are declining a tracheostomy, that this baby needs it to save his life, but that we're declining it, even though he's not a candidate for it surgically.
And when we got kicked out, we got our charts, our most recent charts, and we noticed the day that we get kicked out, a new narrative comes up in the chart that says, I approached mom and dad explaining the necessity of a tracheostomy, and they declined.
Even though we're not even in the building. It
says Unbelievable. That's diabolical.
So they're trying to medically kidnap Kit, and the only thing that got us back into the building was by going public on social media. This is a pattern that they enact this every week on different families, and we've talked to different NICU administrators who over the course of 20 years have never kicked out a family, but at this hospital they kick out multiple families a week. They get them riled up, and then they kick out the family, and then they just can do whatever they want with that child.
Yeah, and they do. We've heard a ton of stories from other families. We saw it personally with other families that were in there. At this point, we get back in by way of miracle, and we're still begging them to run an infection panel, which they will not. We can tell that our child is getting worse by the day. His face is swollen. He's got mucus. I mean, it's very obvious that he has an infection. They transfer him up to the PICU, and the nurse immediately notices and runs an infection panel.
Sure enough, he has 3 of them.
He has 3 infections, brutal infections that they wanted to give him really, really detrimental antibiotics for. He has ventilator pneumonia. They're ignoring underlying health conditions. Again, the PICU administrator is also trying to run the same narrative of, I want to give him a tracheostomy right now. We have all of our interviews with this doctor team recorded. We recorded every single one. We have evidence. We have of them lying point blank in meetings and then turning around. You can see it in our chart notes that they were acknowledging in our meetings that he's not a candidate for a tracheostomy by way of surgery, but that they are at the same time calling child welfare services, trying to get them to show up on me at 5 and 6 a.m. in the morning after I've not slept all night, and telling them that we're declining this surgery even though he's not even a candidate for it.
And our social worker that was admitting in a meeting with us, I know that he's not a candidate, but it's time to open that conversation. In that same day, she called CWS 7 times, and that social worker used to be employed by Child Welfare Services.
Of course, of course. We're running out of time. I mean, I don't think that this is maybe the worst case of medical kidnap negligence I've ever seen in my life. What you guys have gone through is unbelievable. I'm so glad that you're documenting everything. I'm so glad that you have Nurse Angela at your side. You guys know that Angela Marie, she was with VSRF, but she has been known to fly out and advocate for families. And so she is there with you now, helping to gain attention on this story, raise money for this family. This is urgent, guys. We need to get baby Kit to the mainland. We need to get him out of Hawaii, out of this hospital. Mom and dad need your help. There is a GoFundMe link in the comments and in the description of this show. Annie is going to push it up on the live chat again. And we have just a couple more minutes, 2 more minutes, guys. I'm sorry that, I mean, I know I probably could spend another hour with you guys. It's just, what a strong family. You guys are so intelligent, so smart, such great advocates for your baby. And I want to commend you for just the strength to get through this and to advocate and save your baby. And I know that Kit is going to make it. I know that he, in the name of Jesus Christ, that baby is going to he's going to make it and he's going to be healthy. And I just, anything that you need from us, we will be here for you. Right now he's still in Hawaii. He's still in the hospital. So you guys have to be very careful. But in just a minute or two, if you could just let people know what they can do for you and what you need right now, so that this nation can rally around you and help save Kit.
So right now, after all of that, we pushed really hard. We were able to get him transferred over to the only other NICU on island. And because of the narrative that had been created, and the damage that had been done, we had no option. He had to get a tracheostomy and a G-tube. It's been brutal. There are no resources on the island. They put in a trach that is not the right size for him, and they are trying to order in a custom one right now.
So he's constantly choking and gagging, and he has desaturation events where his throat swells around his trach tube and he turns blue and he's suffocating, trying not to pass out.
Yeah. So we're trying to get him to the mainland where we have family support, where we can be with our family, with our other children, where we can have our parents around us, where we can have, a community around us, and where we can get him to doctors and nurses that can really help him just make this next leg of the journey more comfortable, get him fully stable,
and
get him
rehab, actual therapies that are going to help his nervous system, help his body, help his lungs heal.
Yeah.
Nurse Angela has a whole network of people on the mainland, but we have to get there.
Yes, absolutely. And you guys just did an interview with Children's Health Defense as well. So they are on it as well. Thank you to Children's Health Defense, Nurse Angela, and we're going to be pushing this out to every platform. So you guys are not alone. There will be scrutiny. We will have our eagle eye on this situation for as long as necessary to get you guys the help that you need. So God bless you both. Thank you. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. We really appreciate you. We're grateful for everyone's love. Every prayer is felt. We are truly we've been humbled by this, and we are grateful. The love that everyone has shown us has been the only thing that has carried us through. There's a lot more information on our social media. You can see Kit's entire story from day one. I went back through my archives, and I was able to put up a highlight of all of my stories from day one when he was admitted into the NICU. There's some, just some highlights that talk about his story as a whole and where it's at right now for anybody who wants to know. And then there's a little bit about it also on our GoFundMe.
Okay. All right. Sam and Topher, amazing. Keep fighting. Okay. And we'll be here with you. All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, go hit that GoFundMe right now, guys. We're going to go to a very quick break, and then we're going to bring in our special secret guest. You know her. We are going to embark on a collaboration, a new show right here on the Shannon Joy Network starting next week. And again, I had to push her back. Well, because this was important. This story, I mean, it's absolutely urgent. Baby Kit needs your help, needs our help. And so, as you know, we changed the programming a little bit today for that. But when we come back, we're going to have our super special secret guest and a big announcement here on the Shannon Joy Show. Please, if you have it in your heart and within your capabilities, let's bless Topher and Sam, they have gone through so much. The GoFundMe is right up there. Please consider helping them in this very, very harrowing experience with baby Kit. All right, we're gonna be back in a moment to continue the show right here on the Shannon Joy Show. One of the missions here at the Shannon Joy Show is to stay healthy. We need to be as naturally healthy as humanly possible so that we can stay out of the medical industrial complex. We don't want to be on pharmaceutical products. We don't want our bodies to be susceptible to viruses or anything that they are subjecting us to. We don't want to have to rely on the medical industrial complex or pharmaceutical companies in order to exist and survive. And that means daily, like a lifestyle of healthy living and getting the nutrients that we need. And as you guys know, collagen is a regular part of my daily routine for health. It's also now a part of my husband, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy's daily routine as well. And this is because it is known as the crucial building block for your bones, your joints, muscles, tendons, and ligaments, as well as your skin, hair, and nails. So as we age, we just stop producing. We don't stop producing collagen, but it really slows down. You need to put it back in your body. And this is why daily collagen is so very important. And my favorite collagen, of course, is Native Path Collagen. Why? Because it is the best. It is the cleanest. It is 100% grass-fed bovine collagen. So no plant-based anything here. It has one ingredient, nothing else is added. It's hydrolyzed collagen, which is the best kind. It dissolves perfectly into any liquid, hot or cold. It's that clean. It also has only the types 1 and 3 collagens. And as I mentioned, it's sourced only from very, very happy cows, happy, grass-fed, free-range bovine cows. So no marine, egg, or chicken sources at all. It is also the lowest cost on the market per serving with a 365-day money-back guarantee. You will not get better collagen for a lower price point than you will with Native Path, but you have to go to my site, which is getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. That is getnativepathcollagen.com/joy for 45% off. And yes, 95 day? What did I say? 65 day, 365 day money back guarantee. You can send them back empty containers if you don't like it, but you're going to love it. So make sure you get your discount today. Go to getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Went long in that first segment, but I think it was important. The most amazing thing about the story of baby Kit and his amazing parents, Sam and Topher, is that we really didn't even scratch the surface regarding some of the atrocities that were committed against them within the medical industrial complex and the hospital system in the state of Hawaii. So we are going to continue to follow this story. As I mentioned, Children's Health Defense did a lengthy interview with mom and dad yesterday. That will be coming out shortly, I believe. Also, I have been informed that our team over at Died Suddenly, so the Died Suddenly producers, are going to be pushing this out as well. And we are going to just drum up as much exposure on this as we possibly can in the next 7 days. So it was important. Again, it was an audible. It delayed my interview and the big announcement that I've been telling you guys about this entire week. I can see that you're all guessing who is it that we will be collaborating with starting next Wednesday, a new show on the Shannon Joy Network to run not only here on Rumble, but on all of our platforms, the Died Suddenly platform, Twitter platform, among others. Without further ado, my new partner in crime every single week, Dr. Mary Tally Bowden, joins us. Very patiently waiting. Dr. Bowden, I would never, ever, ever make you wait. But that interview that we just did was just, I mean, they started talking and I just could not, I couldn't cut them off because it was just so awful what happened. But welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Network. How are you doing today?
I'm very excited. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I can't wait to get started. I told you, get flooded with requests in my DMs and emails from people just asking all sorts of questions, and it's a bit overwhelming. So I look at this as a great way to answer all those questions once a week. We'll be taking questions from the audience, and we'll take questions that I get on my DMs. And then we also have some unique things that we'll be offering, some live investigative reporting, as I'd like to call it, where we solve problems for people on the spot. We'll be calling different institutions and asking questions on behalf of the people that are not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait.
Well, we've been talking about the medical industrial complex and the system that Americans have to navigate. One of the worst examples we just presented to the audience in the case of baby Kit and his parents Topher and Sam, where this system is a leviathan for people to manage, and it's so hard to get good information, and it's so hard to navigate this in a way that is going to be beneficial for human flourishing and survival. And so I think that your voice every single week, every Wednesday, is going to be absolutely critical. So just to give, you look gorgeous, by the way. Lighting is perfect. I love the studio. I'm like just so pumped, Mary, to do this with you. We're also going to have a session of the Bad Girls Club every Wednesday, right? So one of the fun parts of this collaboration, the way it's going to work, guys, every Wednesday, as you know, I am live from 12 noon Eastern time until 1:30. Every Wednesday, Dr. Mary is going to come in at 1 p.m. and we're going to cross over. So the two of us are going to talk about the health news of the day, among other things, have a little session of the Bad Girls Club because, we happen to call out sometimes some of the people that we think need to be called out, but it's going to be a great collaboration between the two of us, interacting with all of you live every day, not only on Rumble, but on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Dr. Mary Bowden's Twitter account, which is upwards, over 600, almost 700,000 followers. The Died Suddenly account is going to be carrying not only the Shannon Joy Show live every day, but also this collaboration as well. And obviously live on Substack, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and all of the other platforms. So we're going to try to merge the audience and deliver this audience for Mary to get her started on this weekly show. And then at 1 p.m. from 1 p.m., or I'm sorry, at 1:30 p.m. from 1:30 to 3 p.m., Dr. Mary will be live. The name of the show is On Call with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, and she will be talking about the medical news and the health news that matters to all of you, also engaging with you and answering questions that she has been getting on a regular basis. So this is a completely unique show, and we're also going to isolate that and run each one of her shows live as an independent on this network and other networks as well. So that's how we are putting this together. We are so thankful to the Wellness Company, who has come in as the premier sponsor of this show. So you're going to be hearing from some of your favorite docs over at the Wellness Company, of course, Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. Drew. We have Dr. Kelly Victory. The best of the best in the medical freedom community. Dr. Bowden has emerged through all of this as, I would say, probably the most trusted medical doctor in this community for her willingness to stand up, speak out, and say what she thinks about so many issues. So I commend you for that, Dr. Bowden. But yeah, this is going to be great. Just wanted to give everyone the long and short of it. And what kind of topics do you think you're going to be hitting? What's important to you right now?
Yeah, we're still trying to get these shots pulled off the market. I'm not sure if you saw the post from Kennedy this morning. He has removed the EUA. They're throwing us breadcrumbs, but he has stated that he intends to protect the shots, allow people to get them. And I'm sorry, that's just unacceptable. This morning, I just keep seeing patients on a daily basis who are injured from these shots. This morning, I saw a 37-year-old man who has been struggling ever since he got the shots. He didn't know what was going on. He was previously healthy, but he keeps having these just debilitating symptoms. He's almost lost his home from it. he almost started crying in my office. He'd seen so many doctors. No one put two and two together. The only reason he realized what was going on is because he saw my interview on Joe Rogan, and he said,
Wow.
"Oh," and that's what made the connection. So that, I mean, that made me feel good that getting out there and speaking out can help some people. Which yeah, but I'm still seeing these injured, and so my primary focus is to get these shots pulled off the market. That will be a big focus of the show. I'm also very interested in getting the FDA to make ivermectin over the counter. I'm not sure if you've seen in Texas today, they are on the House floor debating a bill to make ivermectin over the counter. And
Wow.
but you should watch the debate to realize how stupid the Democrats still are and how uninformed. And I mean, it's shocking. It
Yeah.
is really, there's been no growth.
Yeah.
No growth on their part. They are just completely blinded by the politics. So it's fascinating to see, unfortunately, how political medicine has become. So we will try to untangle that and get down to the truth
Mm.
and common sense. But I'm excited to start answering questions because,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm just inundated
Yeah.
in my back channels.
Well, and you have been doing an audio podcast weekly. So you've kind of dipped your toe into this kind of presentation mode. But I think it's really important what you're doing now, because it is so cluttered, the health space. And as you mentioned, tragically, health and politics have become completely intertwined. And it's not about getting Americans healthy or making America healthy again. It's more about the politics and the money. And I was just told yesterday that, once again, President Donald Trump in a press conference went out and praised Operation Warp Speed yet again as saving millions of lives. He even let the cat out of the bag. This was interesting that in that statement, President Trump also said that it was almost like a military operation. It was a military operation. We have seen from the reporting of Debbie Lerman, Dr. Naomi Wolf, and also Sasha Latapova. But here we are again. And I was told, well, word on the street is that Trump was just throwing a bone to pharma because the pharma lobbyists needed him to get up. And I'm like, in what world is the president of the United States, playing these games? It's not about health. It's about the donations. It's about the revolving door. It's about the power structure, and then you have, these headlines from Bobby Kennedy Jr. and surrogates of HHS who are saying, oh, just wait till September. They're going to pull the COVID shots, right? So that peppers the entire narrative for the next couple of months, when you just mentioned Bobby Kennedy said he's not going to keep these mRNA vaccines from people who want them. So that's the exact opposite of what the narrative is. So confusing. And I think that you are uniquely situated and trusted to help people navigate through this.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think, the general public, people forget the general public is not getting these shots. And the CDC has taken down this information from their website, which I think is very purposeful. But the last time they posted the vaccine uptake information, it was dismally low. I mean, it was higher than it should be, but 20% was the quote. That
Wow.
only 20% of Americans. So Americans do not want these shots. So I don't understand these games that they're playing. Like you said, I mean, it's the American public, which is we the people. We're the ones that should matter, not the pharmaceutical companies. We don't trust these shots, and they have forgotten that they represent us.
Isn't it true that it is much easier for them to just pull these shots right off the market, like literally in a second, than they are letting on? I don't know if it was you or Mary, or I don't know if it was you or Sasha Latapova that pushed out like a recent example of how they quite easily pulled shots for much less than what we've seen with mRNA.
Well, we saw it with swine flu, but even 2 days ago, I believe, or last week, they pulled the new vaccine. I'm not going to be able to say the name of the virus, but some obscure virus, and I posted it on Twitter. They pulled it. They said abruptly. So yes, it could happen. Stroke of a pen. There's just really, I don't. They're saying, oh, it's complicated. It's not complicated.
What
It's
do you think is the rationale? So they can pull a vaccine like that literally overnight on a dime. Okay, we know that they can do that. They have all the power at HHS to make that happen. Yet they won't with mRNA. What do you think it is? Why are they clinging to it?
job security is my guess. But if it were me, I would sacrifice my job to do the right thing. A lot of people did during COVID, right? Many of us suffered because we did the right thing. So that's what I'm thinking, is that they're scared that they will be fired. And I just
You
think,
mean Bobby Kennedy Jr., Jay Bhattacharya, and Macri are afraid that they'll be fired if they actually move to pull the mRNA from the market?
right, because from what I understand, they don't need to run it by Trump. They can do it. They don't, they can do it, and then they'll have to suffer the consequences.
Right.
But
It's worth it. Absolutely. Go out in a blaze of glory. That's what I would, same.
right,
I mean,
many
what-
sacrifice a lot to do the right thing during COVID.
Okay, let's go a little bit deeper.
Mhm.
So Macri, Bhattacharya, and Kennedy are being held hostage in Washington, D.C., in their positions, afraid of losing their jobs because Trump will fire them if they pull the COVID shots off the market, which they have all the power to do yesterday. So what do you think is the rationale for Trump and his administration for wanting to keep the shots on the market? Why is it so important, do you think, to the apparatus of the federal government to force this and keep those mRNA shots on the market?
Well, Trump still thinks they're great. I mean, I don't understand this, but yeah, Trump
Does
seems
he really, or is he just, because what they're being told is that pharma gave him a script and said, you need to go out in front of the press and say Operation Warp Speed was a great success. So does he really believe this, or he's reading the script? Like, who's wagging the dog here on that? Like, is Trump being held hostage, do you think? I mean, it's just,
there are theories. I do not want to get into the Israel conflict, but that is a theory.
right.
Israel is holding Trump hostage. I don't know, but I feel like Trump really, of all the presidents we've had in recent history, he's the least likely to be manipulated by a third party. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to totally buy into that.
Sometimes I've found it's better to not even speculate. Like, we'll never know what's going on in their little brain cells and what motivates them. Everyone's motivated by different things, has different experiences. People who go to Washington clean as the white driven snow, get there for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden they have compromat and files and whatever. You know what I mean? So it's all so fluid, and the rationale for doing things is so fluid that one of my policies, for the most part, has been to avoid that type of speculation and really just look at the discernible policy outcome. Like, what's happening? And frankly, I don't really care why you're doing it.
Right.
Does it really matter at the end of the day, the why? I know people love to obsess over the why, but why don't we just focus on the what? Like, what is happening? And then just narrowly, like a laser beam, focus on getting that done. Because really, what drove them yesterday might not even drive them today, because it's also fluid.
I agree, and yeah, you get a lot of trouble for false speculations.
Yeah.
Their actions are what we need to focus on.
Well, I am thrilled that you have sacrificed a lot. As you guys know, Mary was one of the very first of the most persecuted doctors in the United States of America, and perhaps the world. She has lost so much because of her unwillingness to peddle lies and her willingness to stand up and speak out very courageously during the dark days of COVID. That cost her reputation and her career in the state of Texas, as the Texas Medical Board continues to persecute her, to drag her case along. What is the update there on that, Mary? And again, I'm glad you're going to have a platform now. I'm glad you're going to be able to get up every single Wednesday. This is going to scare a lot of people. I think people are going to be shaking in their boots because you're scary enough as it is on Twitter. Okay. the notorious MTB, people like to call her on Twitter, right? The fact that you're now going to have this massive platform and this ability every single Wednesday live to talk truth to the American people, I think is going to be a game changer. But what is happening with the board? Because you just learned, that they're still coming after you, and that case isn't over. What went down yesterday, and how are you pursuing this attempt to clear your name and regain your reputation, which you deserve, and also win in this battle? Basically, once again, a red state, right? Like a red leading Republican state, yet it is Greg Abbott's Texas Medical Board that is one of the worst in the nation. But where is that right now?
Yeah, well, first I want to say that the only way we're going to change or save Texas is to get a new governor, and I'm fully supportive of Doc Pete Chambers. So everybody needs to go support him and follow him. But yes, I found out beginning of the week that I've been waiting for the outcome of the last hearing, which was 4 months ago, where the medical board, they determined I was guilty because I sent a nurse to the hospital to give Jason Jones ivermectin under a court order, but the hospital said I did not have privileges. So it became a little bit muddy. The lawyer said we were good to go, gave me the green light, but the hospital apparently did not clear all the paperwork. So the nurse showed up and the police were there to greet her, and she turned away, but they said that was dangerous to the public and that I am now a danger to the public. So we had a hearing 4 months ago to determine what kind of punishment, how severe should my punishment be? And I found out the outcome is basically they think that it should be severe. That there are no extenuating circumstances. Basically.
Tarred and feathered, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden in the great state of Texas, apparently, for the crime of helping a patient.
Yep. No extenuating circumstances should be considered in my attempt to save somebody's life. So now it goes back to the medical board to determine my punishment, and then I will be appealing. The next step will be to the state court, because so far it's been under the realm of this administrative executive branch. So we'll now head to the judicial branch. It will start at the district level, and then I will have to appeal until I get to the Supreme Court of Texas. So
okay.
We may be looking at a few more years of this battle.
Wild. And Barnes is going to represent you. Am I correct? Robert Barnes?
Correct.
Good. I mean, listen, he's a pit bull. Mm-hmm. I might not agree with him in all the things, but he's a pit bull. So I'm glad. And so you guys will also be following Mary through, her very public battle with the institution, the medical industrial complex. As represented with Texas Medical Board. So you're not nervous about hosting your own show, are you, Mary? You're going to do great. I know we've talked about this. I think you're going to be fantastic.
Yeah, well, I have the best helping me, so I'm excited to have your help.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to be crossing over, so that will be fun. I think that the 30-minute crossover between myself and Dr. Bowden every Wednesday live is going to be a nice setup for you to then spread your wings and just say what you need to say to the American people. And you have something to say. I mean, again, when I say you are probably the most trusted medical freedom advocate, medical doctor in the country right now, I mean it. I absolutely mean it. You have maintained your independence. You have not been afraid to call out Democrats or Republicans. Party does not matter to you. You have been unafraid to speak the truth, especially in those critical times when no one else will, right? When everyone just runs for the hills, and all of our colleagues, everyone that we were like standing on street corners with protesting during the dark days of COVID, are now like, well, the politics, or well, I don't want to piss off the administration, or what, like you have, in a very respectful way, in a very diligent way, using the truth as your guide, have continued to just not be afraid to do that. And it's huge. It's huge. I mean, you're one of the ladies that is in the foxhole. I know I can count on you when there's a foxhole, when like everyone else is repeating a narrative. You're there every single time to tell the truth. I appreciate that about you.
Well, I'm not seeking a position. I'm not seeking power. So that empowers me, and I can't be bought. So it's those factors. If you're not seeking money or power, then you can say whatever you want.
That's why I still drive a used car and have a mortgage, big mortgage, and lots of bills. But you're right? Like, if your number one goal is money and power, then you are going to make accommodations for that money and power. And that doesn't mean that you can't be successful and make money and gain in power doing it the right way. And I think you've done it the hard way and the right way. I've tried to do it the hard way and the right way, just sticking to the truth. I know you've had doors slammed in your face because you do it that way. I've been thrown off of platforms. I've lost producers. I've gotten producers back. I've been thrown off radio stations. I've been ousted, ghosted, you name it. That has all happened. It's the hard way, but at the same time, it's the better way. It's the best way. And you can do it. I think you are an example of doing this the right way. And also in that process, you do gain a certain amount of power. And the power is in the truth. And it is in a loyal following, people who know that you're going to tell the truth, that you aren't going to sugarcoat things. It's very difficult to do. And you're a shining example of that. So that's great. And we need more. We need more independent people out there doing the same thing. So it's awesome. So excited.
Well, yeah, we definitely need more voices. It is hard. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, because there have been a lot of ups and downs. But it's bit by bit we are getting stronger, and I'm very excited about our new collaboration, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I think we're going to kick a lot of hornets' nests. We might get into a little bit of trouble, but only the good kind, and the kind that comes from just a true, honest, and diligent pursuit of the truth. And I wouldn't do it with anyone else. I mean, if I had to pick, it would be you. I know we've been talking about this for a while, and the timing is just right. Again, huge thank you to the Wellness Company. They are sponsoring this collaboration, and you're going to see them as sponsors of this show as well as we move forward. Again, over the years, it's been the TWC docs, Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. Kelly Victory and, Dr. Drew, that have been standing up and speaking out and maintaining independence, even in the political circus that we are in today. And so they've earned my respect over the past couple years. And so I'm very thankful for them coming in. Of course, we have editorial control. So there's no, there isn't any type of editorial content that's going to be on, but I think that their sponsorship is going to help us to grow this, platform it, and get this amazing show off the ground. So awesome. Yeah. All right. So make sure you guys are following Dr. Bowden on Twitter. Her handle is @MDBreathe. That's MD Breathe. And anywhere else you want to direct people, or anything else you want to say before I let you go?
Yeah, we just got to keep fighting. And I don't know. We'll be seeing you next week, and excited to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah. Okay. Give us a break, guys. All right. We're just starting this. Be nice. It'll be a little bumpy. The audience is the nice thing, Dr. Bowden, is that this audience is used to a fumbling, bumbling show host. So it's one, Annie is producing now. So this show is a lot more sleek than it used to be. But I used to forget to turn off on my mic. I used to turn off my computer by accident. I wouldn't be able to bring guests in. My cat would come in and walk all over and the audience, you guys were they would call it, they actually had a name for it. They called it Shumbles. So that would be when Shannon fumbles on Rumble. Self-producing. And so there are no rules here. They get a kick out of it. You don't have to be perfect. I think being genuine and authentic is so unique in media today and being real, that's really what people are looking for. So you're going to be fantastic. This audience, you guys better take great care of Mary and be as helpful and amazing and wonderful to her as you are to me every day. But it'll be fun. So I'm pumped. Cannot wait to get started.
Thanks, Shannon.
All right. We'll let you go. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, there we go. Yes, be my Valentine. You missed the shumbles. I know. There was something very real and organic and human about the self-producing and making the mistakes and pressing all the buttons and pressing the wrong buttons. And we always want to we want to retain that, even when we get this great production and the help from people like Annie. It's something always in the back of my mind. Like, no matter how much we platform this show or how big it gets or how small it gets, I really always want to keep that independent, genuine, and authentic feel. So you guys remind me about that from time to time, because that's something that I think you have to really pursue. So yeah, super, super pumped. Dr. Bowden has been, one of my favorites for forever. And so I'm really thrilled for that expansion. So thank you to all of you on the live chat for being with us today. Let's remember Topher and Sam, mom and dad of baby Kit. That GoFundMe is linked in the comments and in the show notes. Please remember our sponsors, again, completely independent. We could not do this. We couldn't pursue authenticity and a genuine pursuit of truth and political analysis every day if it weren't for our independent sponsors. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. If you need gold and silver, go there. The satellite phone store, sat123.com/joy, JOY for 10% off. Our friends over at Perfect Origins, Native Path, and of course, our very first advertiser ever on the Shannon Joy Show, our good friend, Dom Polano of PCM and Associates. If you want a financial advisor that shares your values and will tell you the truth, use the guy that I use, Dom Polano, PCMPolano.com, PCMPolano.com. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us and supporting us today. We'll be back again tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.